Alright guys, working on something different today. I don't know if you remember the first video with this. Little S-15, I bought this to go to drag week about, I don't know, 7 months ago maybe. It's probably been about a year actually. We didn't get on the list to go to drag week, so that didn't happen. And I was going to sell it, so I didn't really mess with it. Just kind of been sitting in the garage. I pulled the motor out and then thought about selling it, but changed my mind again. So here I am. We're going to work on it and try and get it moving. So I'm going to do the front suspension. I got a drag set up, pieces for it. I got drag shocks, upper ball joints, lower ball joints to replace, and the LS swap motor mounts because we have the LS for it. So I've already done this side, and I did that off camera just so I could kind of figure out what I need to do before I actually went on camera and didn't make a 30-minute video trying to figure this out. So it should be a quicker video now that I know what's going on. So I'll show you guys kind of what I did and how I got that side off. It was kind of a pain in the ass, I'm not gonna lie. It took me about 3 hours, maybe a little more, but it should be quicker now that I know what's going on. So starting on this side, what I'm gonna do is once you get the wheels off, I'm gonna get these castle nuts off. This one's off the tie rod end for the steering, and this has a cotter pin in it. I don't know if you probably can't see that, but as I pull it out, this little thing is flipped backward. I'll pull it out and get it out of here to show you what it is. And then there's one on the upper ball joint in the bottom, and then on the lower ball joint in the bottom. And cotter pins in here, and there's little pins go through the castle nuts to hold them on, of course, so they don't back out. Kind of a pain in the ass to get out, so if you want, I'll just have him run video. I think the easiest one to see will be this one right here for the steering. We'll show getting that one out. And you can see one of the ends is bent over the top of the stud here. So once I get that off, you got to get your ball joint separator and bang it apart. Separate it, and you got to do that here. Well, you got to do that for the bottom and the top too. You got to get the separated. I think you guys might have seen that on Gordon maybe. When we took Gordon's suspension apart. It's pretty much the same process. The only thing different is these up here. And I'll get to that when we get there. So we'll see if we can get a cotter pin out real quick. I'll show you guys. That pain in the ass. Alright, so I'm gonna grab the top of this little guy here. You can see I'll bend it back. And the bottom of it is curled down here. Try to make this straight-ish. Get it to come out. The trick, sometimes you got to get a hammer and bang it out because it'll come out. There's like a loop on this end, so I'll get a little hammer, see if I can pop it out. I'm sure most of you guys already know how to do this, but just in case you don't, like I said, kind of a pain in the ass, but it's got to be done. As you can see, it's not going to budge. So we'll just get it in that little loop there. This is basically it. You just got to try and work it out of there. Like I said, it's going to be some are easier than others. I just want to come a little bit. Might be able to just grab onto this with some vice grips and then pull it out, but I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. Coming. There we go. Well, that's it right there. That's what it looks like, and you can see the little loop if you can maybe get a screwdriver or something inside there and kind of wedge it out that way. But either way, we got it out. So one down, two to go. So I'm not going to bore you with the rest of that. I'll get the other two out, and then we'll jump back in here when we get ready to take this thing out. All right, got all the cotter pins out. Oh, I thought there was a step there. But anyway, so now I'm going to take the bottom of the shock mount off because the shock is up through the middle of the control arms. And since I already took that side out, this is what the bolts look like. So I'm going to go with
Let me see that again.
There's two of these. right next to each other, right in the middle of that lower control arm. 1/2 inch should do it. That's pretty, yeah, it's pretty snug, but 1/2 inch I'm going to use to get those out. So I'm going to pop those out. I have the jack underneath the control arm just in case. I mean, nothing's going to happen, but you never know. Better be safe than sorry, right? You really need to have the jack on when you start taking these control arms off. So let's see if this thing will bust these. There we go. Okay, there's one. And there's this one right here. You can see the bottom. This is the bottom of the shock right there. All right, so that's done. So that's ready to come out. I'll do the top next, but I sprayed that with WD-40. That's probably gonna be, the last one was really a pain in the ass. I had to end up cutting that nut off and just let it fall through the bottom, because you try and turn that, it would just turn the whole thing, the whole stud in there. So we'll wait on that for a little bit. You're going to keep these shock bolts, because I'm pretty sure my shocks, which I'll show you here in a little bit, but pretty sure the shocks don't have new bolts. So keep those shock bolts. Pickle fork here. This is what you need to separate the ball joints with. Pickle fork. So I can go ahead and do I'm gonna take off this steering arm here since I got the cotter pin out. The tie rod in. This is a 3/4 socket. Let's put on the nut here. And then what you'll end up doing is, get your pickle fork here. I'll probably end up replacing that anyway, so it's usually what happens. It usually kind of tears it up, getting it off, but you're usually doing it if you're going to replace it. So that's off. So basically got to do that again right there and then down low on the bottom. All right, upper ball joint 7/8. Couldn't get my impact in there, so I'm just going to use a ratchet and a breaker bar. You might not even need a breaker bar, but I did with the other side, so I'm not even going to waste my time. There we go. Just cracked it loose. All right, and the ball joint kit does come with new nuts, but I'm going to keep these just in case. And they're all different sizes. They're only going to go on one of them. So we're going to do the bottom one now. That one is 15/16. Inspect your brake lines while you're down here. I was just looking at this one, and it's kind of cracked. I'll show you that here in a second, but apparently that's going to have to be replaced. So I'll have to get new brake lines for this thing. Definitely don't want those breaking on me. All right. Broke that loose. All right, that's off. So now, bear in mind when you separate these with this pickle fork, there's going to be nothing holding either the top or the bottom. That's why the jack's down here. Once the bottom comes loose, the jack, or the spring's going to want to slam your control arm down because that's still under tension. So that's why the jack is here. So I think we'll do the bottom first. Try to separate that first, and then we're going to separate the top. And then this whole steering knuckle thing and the brake will come off as one piece. The brake line will still be connected, so that's going to be the only thing connecting it, so don't let it just dangle, unless you want to rip your brake lines out. So once we get that out, I'm going to pull my wheel over here and just set it on top of that, kind of like the other side is. And that's where I'm going to rest my brake rotor, so I don't stress my line. Like I said, I'm going to replace it anyway, but I don't really want to break it now and have brake fluid going everywhere. So let's go ahead and get this separated here. All right, got the pickle fork in where it needs to go. So now we're just going to try and hammer this thing apart. And this, as it tries to separate it, this upper control arm should just kind of lift up and let me do this here. So we'll see what happens. Now we're going to do the top. And once that kind of pops loose, then this thing should be ready to come out. There we go. And there it is. I'll worry about that later. So You think that's funny? Alright. Why don't you let the jack down for me, Tyson, can you?
Yeah.
So just release pressure on the jack a little bit, let it come down. Because I can't lift it up. Give me a little more room to work and actually get it out of there. Oh, okay, just drop this.
Here we go.
Alright, yeah, so I kind of just dropped it, and this little dust shield is going to prevent me from getting it off. There we go. Alright, pull the dust shield back. Okay.
Let me get in there from that side. Kind of see.
As you can see what we're left with now.
Oh, let me get that light fixed here. Yeah, like you said, that brake line is basically the only thing connecting that.
I'll show them the brake line. You can see how it's all cracked. Up top, close to the frame there, you can kind of see where it's starting to dry rot.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like right there. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can see it.
I'm gonna go ahead and replace these. Yeah, you can see right where it was like this before. I dropped it here. Don't think just dropping it here did that. It was like that before when I was talking about it earlier. So I'm gonna replace that. That's pretty easy. They're cheap. Just gotta bleed the brakes, which kind of sucks, but whatever. So next order of business is getting the ball joints out. And you need a special tool for that, a ball joint press. You can rent those at AutoZone for free. You just have to pay for the whole thing, which is like 140 bucks. But then when you bring it back, you get your money back. So it's basically free. I don't know what it's like, fish and string or something caught up in that thing, but whatever. Another thing I'll do next here, I'll go ahead and come in here. To get this top ball joint out, it's kind of be a pain in the ass because these these are rivets. And this also lets you know that these ball joints had never been replaced because the replacement kits use bolts instead of rivets. So what you got to do is take a grinder or a cutoff wheel of some sort and grind all those flat, all four of those flat. And then you have to basically separate this upper ball joint from the A-arm here. So then this is what kind of threw me off, is once I got these rivets off, I'm like, okay, how does this come out? Because the tool that you get, the ball joint tool, I'll show you here in a second, it doesn't fit over here. It's like it doesn't work like a conventional one like this bottom one does. So we'll do the bottom one, I'll show you that one, then I'll show you how we're gonna have to get this one off. Kind of a pain in the ass, but what isn't at this point. So I'm gonna clean up some of this garbage here, and then we'll pop this bottom one out real quick, and then we'll go to this one. So hang tight. Okay, so here we are with the ball joint removal installation tool. So you're gonna have these three little collars, three sizes for the different size ball joints. This is kind of like a universal deal. So what you got to do is this ball joint here, there's a mating surface on the bottom. So this ball joint ain't coming out through the top. It's got to come out through the bottom. And that's what this tool is going to do. You're going to use this screw to basically push down on the top of this, and you're going to push it out through the bottom of this control arm. So you got to pick the collar that's big enough to where it goes all the way around, you know, like the ball joint can fall out inside it. You know, if your ball joint is bigger than this, then you're obviously in trouble because there's nothing bigger. But, you know, if your ball joint can fall through this one, then use this one. And you'll put it on the bottom here. And this is your base. This comes with the base that comes with the kit. These steps are different sizes. So like that base, you know, this step fits this one, this whole smaller one, it fits on that little base. We got to use this one, and it fits just, as you can see, just like that. This one is the one where our ball joint is going to fall into this little cup. So what you got to do, you're going to put you put this around the ball joint up against the bottom of the control arm, just like that. This goes over the top of the ball joint like this. So it goes either way, whichever way is going to work out best for you. This isn't going to work because it's too high, so we're going to put ours like this. Okay, then you have your the actual press tool, this little, whatever that is, that little knob deal, will go right inside there. So it's going to be kind of tricky to put this on. You might have to use a little persuasion and a hammer, but you're basically going to try and this hole on the bottom of this thing seats itself on the bottom of this cap. So we're gonna kind of line it up like that as best we can. Trying to get it. This is gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be a little tricky. You're gonna have to kind of work at it a little bit, but we'll get there eventually. So you might have to cut to a commercial break while I do this. I don't know. Or if you guys are drinking, go get a beer. All right, hold that thought. We're there. So we're on it now. And so basically, you're just going to turn this thing, and I use an impact. I use a 7/8 impact to do that. You're just going to turn it clockwise, like if you're tightening a bolt. And as you turn it down, it's going to push the ball joint into your little bucket. So here we go.
In theory.
Yeah. See it kind of pop itself loose there. It just basically pushes it through the bottom of your control arm. Spin it backward to loosen it up so you can get it off. As that comes out, and there's your nasty ball joint. You can see this thing is quite nasty. So I originally wasn't going to replace these because we really only need to, we're doing something special with the top ones, and I'll explain that later. But I figure while we're in here, we might as well just do this. The little caps, all this stuff comes with the new ball joint. So once you get all this out, clean that race inside there, and then use something, get something to clean all this out. You just don't want to put nice clean parts in with just dirty, nasty. I don't know what this fishing line is that's in here. But anyway, clean all that out, and then put your new one in. So we're going to keep cleaning. We're going to try and get this shock out too. We got to get the spring out. And now we can let this jack down and just kind of let the control arm swing down and then pull the spring out so we can get the shock. The shock, since we got the two bolts on the bottom, in theory all you got to do is take this top nut off right here, but I'm sure that's not going to come off easy. So the one I had to do over there, when I did it on that side, I had to actually grind this nut off with the cutoff wheel. So then the shock just fell through. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll work, but I doubt it. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to clean up this, I'm going to get these races cleaned up, and then I'll have to probably go ahead and grind this and get this one out. So let me clean this up, we'll get back with you. Alright, so I got the rivets grinded off, the rivet heads anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4. A combination of the angle grinder and the little air. The air compressor one worked better because I had a smaller disc on it, so I was able to get it in the spaces better, but it really used a lot of air to do that, so I had to wait for the compressor to charge up, so it took a little while. But anyway, here we are. So we're ready to get this off. So as you can see, this, you can see the plate right here. This ball joint has to come out through the top, right? So this is the biggest one I have for the tool. As you can see, if I try and put that on there, it just sits on top of the ball joint. So I can push on this all I want with it clamped on. It's not going to push it up because this is holding it down basically. So you can't use the ball joint tool on that. So what I found out on YouTube is you have to use a air chisel, which is this guy right here. I tried to get it off actually on the other side with this like chisel deal, just putting it on there and just hitting it, with a hammer. And I wailed on it for like 20 minutes and you couldn't get it to budge. You guys might be able to get it to work that way with a screwdriver or something, but I was pretty much out of options at that point, and I was tired of doing that. As I figured the law of averages is going to catch up with you. I'm going to smack my fingers at one point. And I've done that before and ended up with a broken thumb, so I don't want to do that again. So I ended up getting this. I found one at AutoZone. It was like 24 bucks, the air chisel. This one is a Craftsman one. I found this at Ace Hardware, and it was like 45 bucks. They got them at Amazon or whatever. They're pretty cheap. They wasn't that expensive. That's why I decided to go ahead and get one. Because it wasn't, 44 bucks. I'm like, whatever. Let's just do it. Get it done. I kind of always wanted one anyway, so why not? So I used it, got that one out. It actually worked as advertised. It was pretty cool. Only thing you got to be careful with is like this thing will just eat into just whatever it hits. So by the time I was done taking this one out on the other side, I had chisel marks all over my A arms, and I wasn't too happy with that. So I had to get a Dremel tool with a little you know, the grinding disc or wheel or whatever, and I had to do a lot of smoothing out to try to get a lot of the gouges out. As you can see, I nicked this a little bit with the cutoff wheel. That's not a big deal. Those will come out pretty easy, but you know, I know it's not a big deal with this being a drag truck or whatever. No one's going to give a shit because the wheels are going to be in the way. I mean, sorry, but I just don't want big gouge. You know, this thing will leave like chop marks in there. So just be careful with it. Cause I had a couple times when I was trying to get it in here like this, you know, and it would slip out and go into this, and you get gouges all over the place, or it'd slip out and go up there, and you get da, you know. So just be careful with it because you're going to booger up your A-arms if you care. So we're going to do that. We'll probably start on the regular video and then maybe time lapse it because it took a little bit. It took like maybe 5 minutes, but I'm not going to just have on video 5 minutes of just hammering this thing out. So we'll show you a little bit kind of how it goes, getting it like in there. You probably start where you see your biggest gap. It's like right there. You can see it's pretty tight right there, so I don't want to stick it right there. You can't see anything. You can see right on this edge there's kind of a little gap there. So maybe I'll stick it in that gap just like right here and then try and get it started. So we got to fire this air compressor back up to get this thing running, and we'll let you see it. Okay. All right, so now that we got the ball joint out, you can see these little nubs kind of sticking up right there. So you got to get your chisel, your air hammer, and when you hit these with the air hammer, you pretty much ground them flush like that. But you got to be careful when you do that, because if you go too far, you know, if you do it too far or you're pressing too hard, you're going to go into your control arm and gouge those out. So once you get them flush just like this, you can get like a screwdriver and a hammer or something and just punch them out the bottom. I'll show you that when we get there, but I'm gonna go grab go get the air chisel again, and like I said, I'm gonna ground those flush. Try not to dig into my control arms, and then go from there. That's why you saw me kind of get it popped up, and then I tried to get it out with the crowbar or a screwdriver or whatever. I didn't want to go all the way in and then hit my control arms like I did on that last one. So it's just up to you. Like, if you don't care about your control arms, yeah, just use a chisel and you'll get them right out. But I'm trying not to mess, and you can see I kind of boogered up a little bit with the grinder, but that's not a big deal. I'm all right with that. So let me grind these flush, and I'll pop them out, and we'll show you what it looks like. There it is. All right, so we started taking the shock off, and like I said, it was, of course, it's going to be a pain. So we actually got with the power tool, we got the nut to come up like halfway up, but now it's just spinning the whole thing. So it ain't going to come out. So how we're going to try this is I'm going to get these vice grips here, and I'm going to grab not to be perverted, but I'm going to grab the shaft in there from between the springs, and then I'm going to try and hold that still with the vice grips while he tries to spin the nut. So we'll see if that works. Hopefully it does. If it does, that's going to be easy. It'll be out in a couple seconds, but if not, we're probably going to have to cut that off. So we'll see what happens here. So you'll see this is a little shaft that I'm looking for. It's like a long, smooth shaft that you can grab hold of.
God damn it.
All right, that should do it. I'm surprised that worked. So I think we're good, right?
I think so.
So that worked. So now the shock come out, hit the ground. We're gonna throw all this away because the new shock comes with all this stuff. In the next video, we'll put all this back together. I'll show you the hardware we got and everything we're gonna put back in it.
There's the shock that we just knocked out in the spring there.
All right, here's the shock I was telling you about that came out. This is the old one. As you can see, I'll push this in. It is clearly shot. Not that we're gonna use these anyway, but this thing is supposed to bounce back by itself. What I was grabbing onto with the vice grips was this part here. This was that long, smooth shaft I was talking about, nice and long. But I was grabbing onto this with the vice grips just because when we were doing it before and you would turn the nut, it would just spin it like this whole thing was just like, it was doing this. So you grab it with the vice grips, hold it right here, and then the nut comes off. So like I said, these are obviously shot because they don't even rebound. These are supposed to bounce back up. So I thought I'd use these anyway, but just so you know, bushings down there are obviously toast also. I don't even know if these have ever been replaced since this truck was new, but kind of cool. So I'll show you the new stuff when we get ready to put it back in. We're gonna pull the spring out right now. Throw this in the trash here in a second. So I took the jack out from underneath the control arm, so this can just do its thing. And spring here, we'll just, we'll see if we can just pop this out maybe. There we go. Just like that. There's your spring, your coil spring here. And kind of for the sake of looks, we're going to cut these a little bit to get the front end down. I'm not going to buy like a drop spindle like we did with Gordon to drop this. I think we're just going to cut the spring a little bit because I only need it down about 2 or 3 inches. And I like these 4-cylinder springs because they're nice and soft. So I'm not really sure the equation of how much to cut off or how much of a drop. Then we're going to kind of show you guys that on film. I mean, I guess we can maybe ballpark it with a tape measure, but I don't know. So I'm guessing with the heavier engine, these are going to compress quite a bit more than the 4-cylinder that was in here. So I'm going to try and take that into account, but it's just going to kind of be a guess. So we're going to guess, we'll set the engine in, set the truck back down, see how much it goes down, and hopefully I don't cut out too much, because we can always cut out more if I want a little bit lower, but if I cut out too much, then we're pretty much screwed. And I'm going to U-pull to get some more spring. So we're just going to cut out a little bit, and then you know, hopefully it lowers us a little bit. Well, like I said, I'll kind of measure it. I'd like 3 inches, I think, is where I want to start, because I think I got 3-inch lowering blocks for the rear. So I'd like it to sit level. So I'm thinking maybe 2 inches, and hoping that the weight of the engine will go that extra inch, drop it down an extra inch. So that's what I'm going to kind of go for. So I think I'll take 2 inches out of these, and then hope the engine, the weight of the V8, takes it down another inch. And if it doesn't, hopefully I can cut out more. Hopefully it doesn't take it more than an inch, and then I'm screwed, but either way. We'll take you guys along for the ride, and we'll let you see what happens. So that's out now. Next is the motor mounts, and to get the motor mounts out, you had to take the spring out, which is why we're at this point here. So come up top here. For the motor mounts, it's pretty simple. These 2 bolts got to come out, but there's nuts on the back side of these bolts that you have to access through the frame on the through where the spring is. So this one is easy to get to. You can see the nut there. You just stick a wrench on it and hit it with the impact comes out. This one's not so much. I mean, you can get to it. I put a wrench in there on this other one. Put a wrench on the back side of it, and you just have to kind of feel it around with the open end, and you'll feel it grab on. And once you hold it, reach over and bust that out. So this will be easier with 2 people, because I did this by myself last time. It was kind of a pain, but it's not impossible. I think the hard part is going to be getting the new ones back in, but we'll be there in the next video. So that's all we got left to get this. I'm going to clean up kind of like you can see I did that side. I just took a wire brush on a drill and clean this out. I'm not going to paint or anything because I think it just look weird. I mean, I'd have to paint everything for it to look good. I'm not going to go through and paint everything in here. That's just going to take too much time. And I just don't care that much, really. So it's not a show truck. It's just supposed to go down the drag strip fast and light. So next, once we get this motor mount out, that's pretty much it. And then we can start putting this back together. So I'll let you know here as soon as we get done. Oh, and this, come back to the top of the ball joint there, Tyson. So this top ball joint, you see the chisel boogered up this a little bit, and I kind of got into that right there, and there's like a little bit of metal hanging out. I don't really care for that, so I'm gonna take the Dremel tool and smooth that out a little bit. But overall, this was way better than the last one. The last one, I had little cuts and grooves all in those things. So I'm gonna, like I said, take the Dremel tool, smooth this out with a flap wheel, and then smooth that out, and that'll be good enough. And then we're gonna put it right back together. I cleaned that out a little bit with a brush already, that hole. I'm gonna run some sandpaper on the inside of that. And then that's almost ready to go back in with this tool. So we'll show you that, like I said, in the next video. Try to start putting this back together and get it back on the ground. So stay tuned. Okay, so we got the first bolt on, as you can see. That was the easy one. There's just the nuts right there, accessible right up through the holes, kind of hard to see Once you get up under there, you'll see it. I just held it with a ratchet with this deal here. 15 millimeter for both ends. I just held it still with that, and he put the impact on the top and just took it right out. So now we got to get this one. This one's a little bit harder. You can't see it from down there. The way I got the other one is you basically had to slide your opening wrench. There's like a hole underneath here where you're, the same hole where you took this nut out from. I can't even see it. The hole is,
yeah, there you go. So that's the easy one right there. And there's one back where you can't see that you got to feel for in that same hole.
Yeah, stick your opening wrench in there, get it on the nut, and then just use the impact and turn it out from the top. So that's what we're going to do. It's just 2 bolts, thank God, but putting the new ones in is probably going to be worse. I don't even know how we're going to do that, but whatever. That's another video. We'll figure that out. Let's just get these out first, and then we'll update you when we get it done. So this side is presenting a little bit more of a problem because these fuel lines, for some reason, you see a little block right there. They go in through the frame rail and out the back or whatever. So the fuel lines are right where my wrench needs to go to get into the nut right here. So if you're going to keep the fuel lines intact, the thing to do is you have to take that lower control arm out. But I'm not going to use these anyway, so I just got a Dremel tool and cut the damn fuel lines in there. Because I want to take them out anyway because I don't want this in my engine bay because I don't need it. So I just cut the fuel lines. I'm hoping this will just kind of pull out, and then I can get my wrench in there and we'll get this thing out. So here we go. Well, I'm not expecting much, but here we go. And of course not. So let me go see what's holding it in there. See, maybe when my cuts didn't go all the way through. That could be what it is. Let me make some more cuts and then we'll try it again. All right, fuel lines are cut. So that was a pain and a half. So let's see if that'll come out. Yeah, you're welcome. So now that they're cut, let's see if we can pull whatever this is out of here. Oh, look at that. Ah, I don't need that anyway. Yeah. This thing was a pain to cut. I had to use a Dremel tool to get these out of here. But they're out of here, so in the trash it goes. So now that hole should be clear. The hole should be clear. Get the wrench in there and get that last bolt out, and that'll do our motor mount. So let's see if we knock it out real quick, Tyson.
Yeah.
So you should have the thing on the impact still. Let's see if I can get the wrench in there, and here we go. Let's get this out of here. I'm going to turn just a little bit. A little more. A little more. Okay,
ready?
yeah. There it is. Boom. What?
Yeah, it's good to go.
There it is. All right. God damn. All right. So now that's done, I'm gonna clean that up a little bit, and then we're gonna start the. I'm afraid you might have to take those lower control arms off to get those other ones in. So hopefully not, but probably. So either way, stay tuned for that video. That'll be the next one. It's completely disassembled, so yeah, I'll show you the new parts. Next video, we'll get it put in. Stay tuned. Good evening, YouTube, guys and girls. So we're putting the suspension back together on the old S-15 here and trying to make a push to get this thing maybe down the track. So what we're aiming for tonight is we're going to put this lower ball joint in right there with the press, and it's pretty much the reversal of how it came out in the other video. We're going to put the upper ball joint in, and this one just gets screwed in with these 4 little bolts. I'll show you that when we get to that too, and I have a little explanation on which one I picked. And then we're going to put our LS swap motor mounts in there. So I got these from TD, Transdapt. I'm guessing Transdapt is TD. But anyway, so this is for the S-15 LS swap. They seem to fit. I just kind of loosely mocked them up. They're just going to sit on here like this onto the frame. As you can see, I kind of cleaned the frame out a little bit. So the one thing with this, if you want to see the box here, this is what it looks like. So those, and that's your part number right there if you guys are doing the same thing. So these came painted black, but the paint was flaking off. I mean, I could peel the paint off with like my fingernail. So it just, I don't know. I'm sure they'll work fine, but it just kind of looked kind of iffy. I'm not trying to badmouth these guys or anything, but I ended up having to paint those myself, so I just sanded them down and painted them with some Rust-Oleum, and we'll see how that does. So that, if you see here, it has these three. The bolts are going to go here, and it comes with a hardware package for these bolts. So the bolts are going to go there, there, and there. The stock ones went here and here, and I was able to get those out with just taking the spring out, and you basically just have to stick the wrench in there and guess on this one. You can't really see it from the hole, but you can get this one pretty easy. But these are going to be a different story, so I'm not going to be able to get to these the way this currently is right now. So this lower control arm right here is going to have to come out. So it looks like there's a bolt right here and then a bolt a little bit farther down, kind of the same way on the frame there. So rather than trying, initially I was going to try and see if I could get my fingers up there and just kind of guess and feel around and see if I could find these two holes down here, but I figured I'll just save the time and take those control arms out. I really don't want to, but I think that's probably the smart money. So we're going to get as close to getting this whole side done as we can, get the motor mounts in, get the upper ball joints, the lower ball joints, the springs, and the shocks. I got these drag shocks from Calvert Racing. I'll show you that too when we get there. But yeah, that's where we're at. And as we're working here, we're going to be sipping on some of our Knob Creek 100 proof bourbon. So if things get a little slurred at the end, that's why. But we're going to try not to. But that's fair warning. So good times. With that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get this lower control arm off. So stay tuned. We'll show you along the way, or fast forward or whatever. I don't know. Time lapse maybe. We'll see. But either way, we'll let you know how it goes. Stay tuned. All right. So we got the lower control arm off. This side here was the front side, I guess, close to the radiator. 22 millimeter, and I just used a crescent wrench to hold the nut. And then on the back side, the other one that was closer to the firewall, that was actually an 18 millimeter, and then an 18 millimeter on the nut too. So 18 millimeter nut, 18 millimeter bolt, and then this one was 22 millimeter. And then, like I said, I just used a crescent wrench to hold that still to buzz it out or zip it out with the impact. So now we got that off. That wasn't that bad. So now the lower ball joint's going to go in. So this is it here. I just got the Duralast ones right there. It's your part number if you care. They were like 20 bucks, I think, 25 bucks. No, like 30. I'm sorry, it's like 30 bucks. So this is what we're working with. You can see like these little ridges right here. They go all the way around it. That's what's going to bite into the lower control arm, into the hole. So basically, you have to set this in there, and then you have to put this. This is your press. Threaded hole right there, and you basically have to. You're going to get it to where, as you're screwing this thing in here, like that, it's going to be in here. This is going to be on the bottom of the ball joint. We'll show you how we'll set that up. You're going to get the impact gun and hit it, and it'll push this, push this thing up into there. I mean, you could try being with a sledgehammer. I wouldn't recommend that, but I'm sure there's still going to be someone that comments, "Oh, I just use a sledgehammer." Well, I'm not going to do that. So we're going to do it this way. So get in here like this, and then you get this super big one here, so it has plenty of room. It doesn't hold it up anyway. It'll just come right through it. Same thing with this part. This is what the top of that's going to grab onto. The hole, and that's obviously big enough for the stud or the threaded rod to come up through. Take a look there. You see it there? All right, and then so we could use this collar. That's kind of what I was originally going to do, and just have this on the bottom of the ball joint so it sits in here, right? But that's going to be too big, and the clamp ain't going to fit on it. So we're going to forego this. Use this guy here. And it's going to be sit on the bottom of the ball joint just like that. You can see. Then we got our clamp. We're going to put it over just like that. We'll let this top piece hang for a second, and I'm going to tighten it up here with the rod. Threaded deal here. It's going to be kind of hard with just one person, but I mean, it can be done, but once I make contact, it should kind of hold okay. So I made contact now. There's actually a little hole in the bottom of this thing right here that this kind of goes into, so it'll somewhat get you centered-ish. So I want to make sure it's got a good contact. I'm not sure if I've said this before, but the suspension work is my least favorite. I do not care for this at all, but it's got to be done. So that's pretty tight, I think, and it's pretty
Square
pieces in there, and this is pretty square on the ball joint. Could probably adjust it a little bit. There. All right, I'm good with that. So now that's your setup, and so you can either use a ratchet, you know, and just hold this and tighten it, and it'll hopefully push that in there. Well, like I said, the way it came out with the impact, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to use the impact gun and see if I can get to go in that way. Not sure where I rented this from, AutoZone. It was like 150 bucks to rent, and you get your money back when you take it back. So the AutoZone one is 7/8. This big old thing here, so get this flipped the right way. We're gonna see what happens. So let's give it a whirl here. Alright guys, so here we go. I got the lower ball joint seated there, as you can see. That's pretty flush against the metal there. That's about as good as it's gonna get. You can feel it when you're hitting it with the impact wrench as it's tightening, and then once it hits metal, it starts contacting metal, you'll feel it. It'll feel different and sound different. So that's in there. So yeah, that's one thing out of the way. So what we're gonna do next, I'm gonna hop over to the other side and do it again. Put the lower ball joint in this lower control arm and take it off. Also, we're gonna take it off anyway for the ball joints, but I want to get this. I want to get that tool back because that was 150 bucks to rent. So with it being Christmas time, I got to get some Christmas presents. So I need to get this tool back, get my 150 bucks back, and do some Christmas shopping. But so I'm gonna get this. Like I said, get this other one pushed in, and then we'll continue with the other stuff. All right, guys, back on the S-10 here. So we're doing the suspension. We got this side done. We kind of got this side all put together first, just so we could get it done, and that way I'll show you how, guys, what I did, and it's not going to be like a, you know, learn as we go thing in like an hour video. So that side's put together with the new ball joint. So we're about to do this one. The first thing we're going to do here is put these motor mounts on. Those are the LS swap motor mounts by Transdapt. We're going to throw those on, and to do that, probably told you before, you got to have the lower control arm out. Here's the lower control arm, and you saw us put that ball joint in there. That's in there ready to go. Then you have to access the bolts to get them up in there from inside right here. That's how you get those bolts in there. So we're going to throw those in there from the bottom, and then once we get that once we get that motor mount in there, then we'll throw that lower control arm back in there. Then the spring has to go in there, and then we get the ball joints, upper and lower ball joints. I'll show you how to put those in there with the ones I got. The upper, anyways, we already did the lower, so we'll get the upper in there. And we'll take it along for the ride, so here we go. All right, motor mounts in. That took like 5 minutes at that. It's probably a two-person job. I'm going to show you can do it by yourself. It'd just be a pain, but 2 people took about 5 minutes. There it is. So hopefully the LS will drop in there. I'm sure it won't, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Lower control arm is in. It was just these 2 bolts. This right here and this right here. This was the back one was a smaller one, 18 millimeter, 18 back, 18 front. This one was a little bit bigger. This was a 21 millimeter in the front, and I don't even know what this was. I didn't have a wrench big enough, so I just used a crescent wrench to hold that still. So lower control arms in, as you guys saw before, lower ball joints in. Probably gotta clean those threads off, but next we're gonna do this upper ball joint. So this is why I told you the 2-inch longer one from on the street racing channel, the guy that races the S-10, Billy the Kid, I believe it is. That's pretty good. So I'll take his advice. We'll go with it. So with these factory ball joints, if I didn't explain to you this before, it's riveted in. So you got to use your grinder, grind the rivets out. And the aftermarket ones, they got bolts. So you just bolt it back in, and it drops in. You don't have to press it or anything. I mean, it just drops right in. As you can see, like I said, it just drops in. These bolts line up. We just went to Ace Hardware and I wish I could tell you what size these were. I don't remember, but it's a 7/16 bolt head, and they all just drop in. We got these lock washers to put on the back of them, and that's it. And if you look down, I mean, it lines up. Lines up pretty much like it should. These little guys slide right in there. You put all 4 of them in there, tighten up. It's pretty self-explanatory. These are the.
That's the side that's done there, so you can see. Maybe
When he comes back around, these. I got these upper ball joints from Speed. What's that place? Speedway Motors. That's your part number right there. They're also for G bodies. Apparently, these are the same suspension as G bodies.
Hang on, this thing is pissing me off.
So that's it right there. That's your part number for the 2-inch longer. It's 2-inch, basically 2-inch extended upper ball joints.
Ultra low friction, ultra high performance.
Exactly. So that's at least a second right there. So if you look at the other side, you can see how they fit. I mean, it's that shaft is tapered, so it looks kind of wonky, but I think it'll work. You know, like if it doesn't, we'll figure it out. I'll let you know, but I think it'll work. Setup looked kind of weird. I'm not freaked out. Like I said, it ain't going anywhere. So pretty sure that's fine. We're gonna tighten these. I'm gonna get this tightened in there. The spring, actually, while we're here, here's my front coil spring. So the rear, I'm gonna do a 3-inch drop on the rear with the blocks, and I want kind of similar on the front. And I know it's kind of a guess with these coils. We just cut a coil out. I'm not gonna do anything super elaborate, but I kind of measured. Did a measurement. I cut this much out. This was about 1 inch from the measurement, from top of the coil to top of the coil. It's about 1 inch. So I figure with the extra weight of the motor, and if I put a turbo or whatever on there, maybe that'll give me another 2 inches. I figure this is more conservative. I don't want to cut it too much because I can't go up. I can obviously cut more, but I can't cut less. So we're going to start with just 1 inch off. I'm hoping they'll compress. They're only 4-cylinder coils, so I'd imagine they'll compress quite a bit. They're pretty soft, and plus they're already getting pretty short. So we're going to try that. Bolt them in there. I don't need a spring compressor to get them back in there as we do the other side. If it ends up being too low, you know, or we mess something up, then I'll just go to the junkyard, get another one. Or, like I said, if it's not low enough to make it look decent, then maybe I'll just cut a little more out. I don't know if I want to take that apart again, but maybe, I don't know, we'll figure that out when we get there. But so that's where we're at. So next I'm going to bolt this in, get this set up, get it greased, and then I will put the spring in, get that in there, and then we'll get those upper and lower ball joints torqued, and then the steering rack torqued. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty easy. Once you get everything apart and you do it, it comes out pretty easy. It's pretty easy. So I'm guessing it's probably going to take us maybe, all said and done without filming, it'd probably take a half hour to finish this up, maybe 45 minutes. So it's not too bad. Take it on for the ride, so we'll tighten. All right, so we're getting it put back together now. So we got the top is hung. Again, the same ball joint the other side. We got that on the back, so or on the bottom, so it doesn't fall down. We got the spring in there. The jack obviously on the bottom. So now what we got to do is just move this ball joint.
See that or not? The spring's in there, and then the jack is on the bottom to jack it up in place.
Yeah, then we're gonna move the ball joint inward to line it up to the hole in the bottom of this.
Yeah, this
steering knuckle here.
You can see that ball joint is basically gonna have to go that way.
Yeah, we're just gonna
almost vertical.
Smack it that way a little bit, and then once it gets lined up with the hole in the bottom of the steering knuckle, then it'll go up through there.
Yeah, and we can go in that hole right there
and cinch it in. So that's where we're at now. So we'll go ahead and get that in there, and then once we get everything, once we get it jacked up in there and the nuts on, and then we'll tighten them up, and we'll let you know about that process. Almost done though. Easy money. Shaka, bro. So we got this side done. Got the ball joints in. Tie rods hooked back up. Lower ball joint. Cotter pins are in. So what we ended up doing was just looking online. You guys do your own research, but if you just want to go off this was 60, called for 61 foot-pounds of torque. The lower was 90.
This was 61 specifically. This right here.
Yeah, the upper ball joint was 61. Lower ball joint was 90, and the tie rod end was 35. That's what we went off of and what we found on the internet. So, like I said, take it for what it's worth. Got the cotter pins in. Now the only thing left is the shock. And so hopefully that should go in there with minimal issues, I'm hoping. Got these Calvert drag shocks, 90-10 front. I think these are the same as on the G bodies too. So the other one went in pretty easy. So hopefully this one will do the same. And once we get this in, this gets torqued, what was that, like 8?
It was 100 inch pounds.
Yes, I think it came up to like 8 foot-pounds.
8.3 foot-pounds.
8.3 foot-pounds. I did 8.5, so that's what we're going to torque this little upper nut to, and then and after that, I think that's done for the front suspension. We'll go out ready to drop the motor in once we get it ready. So it's a pretty big step for us. I've been waiting to do this for a while. I've had these parts sitting in the back of the truck for a while. I almost sold this thing just thinking like, yeah, I'll just do something else, but I figure it's probably going to be the cheapest thing to do to get me on the drag strip, you know, and have some fun. So we're gonna follow through with it. Still might sell it, but maybe it'll be at least halfway done when I do. So we're gonna press on. All right, we got it wrapped up. So shock is in, went in pretty easy. 8.5 foot-pounds of torque up there, and did what it was supposed to do. So other than that, man, this thing's ready to go. So we'll see what happens. I still got to replace those brake lines because, like I said, when I pulled those things out, they were pretty dry rotted and pretty nasty. So I'll just replace those. I'm probably just gonna go get custom ones made. I saw they have them on they have them at AutoZone for like 25 bucks a piece. So I almost wonder if I just take them the brake lines to this to the same hose place I got my power steering lines made for Gordon. What if I just take them there and see if they'll make me some new ones with those ends, maybe for cheaper. So that's like 50 bucks for both of them. So I'd rather not spend $50 on brake lines. So maybe they'll come in at half that. We'll see. So I think I might take that gamble on Monday. But either way, this thing's ready to go. So I'm hoping maybe in the next couple of weeks we'll be dropping this motor in. I still got to put an oil pump in it and a couple other things, some new gaskets, and we'll see. Just gotta take it from there. I'm not sure if we're gonna try and run it NA. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be turbo eventually, but if that's the case, I need to put a turbo drain in the oil pan and all that. So I don't know if I can run it NA with that big hole in there, and I can find a cap if anything. But it'd be nice to just get that little, get the plug in there, and then maybe cap it off until I need it. We'll see. Otherwise, we're gonna be pressing forward on this, so stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated as we go.